Hello, am I live? Let's see. I think so. Oh, I can't schedule to go live. I think so. Let me see YouTube. I am live. Okay. Oh, yes. Here we go. Just want to double check technology. Oh, yes. Just want to double check, okay? Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me close this. Okay, sorry. Still want to double and triple check. I am very cautious with technology because wonderful. Okay. Every time I go live, I forget something. But this time, I think we're all set. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Go, go, go. Here we go. Okay, welcome. Happy Thursday. Let me put this aside. Okay, can you see me okay? Welcome to the masterclass. Thank you for joining. Okay. Welcome to the masterclass of emotional mastery, the leadership superpower you've been ignoring. And if you're someone that are reactive sometimes and snapping at your team members or loved ones, but then feel bad about it later. And if you are someone who sometimes avoid tough conversations, or you feel disconnected from your team, you are in the right place. As high achieving leaders, we are often praised for our logic, our performance, and our ability to get things done, right? Get shit done. You're so good at that. But the truth is, many of us are leading from emotional ignorance. There's nothing wrong with you. And I'm saying it from a place of love because I used to be there too. Not from emotional clarity and emotional mastery. With that, you overreact, you shut down, you avoid conflict, and you try to hold it all together without really feeling supported or seen. Then that's where when you feel tired, exhausted, or burned out, or just you have resentment inside of you, you may have tried. You probably tried to fix it by being even more productive, more prepared, and more in control. And you may even have tried mindset work and communication strategies or even feedback frameworks and how to communicate differently from strategic and intellectual standpoint. But nothing sticks because you don't need more strategies. You don't need more intellectual frameworks. What the real challenge isn't in your thinking. Actually, it's too much thinking. What do you need It's really more of knowing and regulate your nervous system and your relationship to emotion. After this class, you're going to fall in love with your emotion, which is an amazing thing. So the process today, I'm going to teach you a 5-step method. It's called the CLEAR method. CLEAR. And each word stands for a step. It's a powerful yet practical ways to feel, process, and lead with your emotions in real time. And this is how you go from being emotionally reactive to become emotionally masterful leader. When you master your emotions, you don't just feel better, you lead better and you live better. You build trust with your team, with your children, with your friends. You inspire without forcing, and you make clear, confident decisions, and you become the kind of leader people want to follow, not the type of leader people have to follow. And you make impact, and people remember you for the rest of their life. And the reason why I'm teaching this today is because I walked that path. Every single masterclass I teach from my lived experience, and I transformed my pain to purpose because I know what it felt like to be emotional reactive and emotional ignorant. To today, I'm proudly say I am emotionally masterful. I used to be so reactive, snapped at my team members several times. I made people cry. And in team meetings, I was really not proud of that. And I avoided difficult conversations. I really tried to be very stoic and tough. And people call me a tough cookie. And a lot of times I just bulldoze people over if they don't want to listen to me. And I don't have patience for it, right? I would just like force them to do the things they don't want to do, just so much pushing. Not a good listener, not empathetic at all. I couldn't stand people's emotions. I will always say, I'm very impatient. No, impatient it was not my personality. It was because my own intolerance towards emotions. Until the last year in my corporate career, because I started working on myself. I embarked on this journey of becoming the CEO of my inner life. I started to manage my own emotions. Then that's when everything else shifted. I became a much better leader, and people call me an inspiring leader. That was a word nobody ever used that on me at all. When people would say you're very like high performing, right, leader, but never inspiring. Don't you want to be an inspiring leader? How did I become that? Because I was present. I'm present. I'm a good listener. You can only be a good listener when you are able to hold space for other people. And I become so much more intentional, and people want to work with me because they want to be with my energy. And I became magnetic because I draw people in instead of pushing people along with me, right? Push the rocks uphill. That kind of feeling just takes so much effort to get things done, get people motivated. And I become someone who people wanted to follow me. And so becomes so much easier, so much more enjoyable and pleasant. It's more pleasant and guess what? More effective. And people actually perform better and produce more. But other than that, the productivity aside, and I just become much happier person and I have better relationships with every single person in my life. At the end of the day, what's the point of life? What is the relationships we build? And the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. And then the quality of your relationships is really depends on your capacity to understand, feel, regulate, and express your emotions. So that's why it's imperative for you as a leader to become emotionally masterful. Okay, so this class, you are going to learn the first steps to reach that goal. So where are you now? And so you may be experiencing overreacting under pressure, snapping at your team members, shutting down, or become defensive when things go wrong. It's sometimes so automatic, you don't even realize you're doing it. Or after you do it, then you're like, holy moly, why did I do that? I just completely overreacted, right? It's just a very automatic behavior. And I'll share with you why, right? Was become this autopilot kind of behavior. And then the second could be you avoid difficult conversations. The reason why you avoid difficult conversations is because you are uncomfortable with emotional tension. And you know that when you have this conversation, the other person may may respond certain way, may have certain emotional response, and you are uncomfortable dealing with their response. You're afraid of hurting someone's feelings. And three is that you feel pressure to always have it together. You're like, I need to be strong and I cannot show my emotions, right? You struggle to show vulnerability. You pretend you are fine when you are not. And four is that you may feel awkward around others' emotions. When a team member is upset, anxious, or unmotivated, you feel overwhelmed or shut down. You don't want to deal with it. You default to fixing, minimizing, or just pulling away because you like this empathy feels too hard to hold. So I have a client of mine. She's very high performing and all about productivity, driving results, all of that. And she told me that before she started working with me, she told me today, when my team members, sometimes when they get upset, anxious, or sad or disappointed, and she would tell them, she was thinking, she was like, why would you share those type of things with me? I'm not your girlfriend. That was her thought. Imagine, because she doesn't have tolerance for it. She doesn't have capacity for it because she's very uncomfortable with other people's emotions. And how can you be a leader who's empathetic and who's truly be present with someone when you have that kind of thoughts in your head? You can't. Last one is that you can struggle with clarity in decision making. Yes, emotions affect your decision making big time because you second guess yourself constantly. Why? Because fear gets into the way. Fear is an emotion. And if you're uncomfortable with fear, you're not really listening to your fear to understand what fear is, then fear drowns out intuition. Then you procrastinate. You may make reactive choices to avoid discomfort. So those are the common challenges when you are emotionally ignorant and when you don't have the capacity to process your emotions. And guess what? It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're not capable. No, has nothing to do with like your fault. It's not your fault given where you are, because so many of us have been conditioned into this kind of behaviors, and our relationship to emotion is a conditioned behavior, and from very young age at various different levels. Starts with home. At your parents, adults around you may have said things like, don't cry, don't be so sensitive. And in that case, what you learn in that case? You learned, oh, it's not safe to feel, because your feelings were dismissed, not acknowledged or validated, and even shamed. So the other day, I was in my dentist's office. There was a boy sitting next to me. I was probably 7, 8 years old. For him, it was probably that experience was terrifying. I remember I'm very afraid of dentists. And so he was crying. And then his mom was holding his hand and telling him, saying, hey, stop crying. It's not that bad. You are making other people uncomfortable. Literally, that's what she said, right? Obviously, she said it she was very concerned. She did it out of love. But because herself, she's uncomfortable with his emotions, then unintentionally, she invalidated his feelings. Say, stop crying. This is not a good thing. It's not a big deal. Like, you're making too big deal out of it, even though in his mind, in his experience, it was a big deal. And that's when you are making other people feel uncomfortable. It's like other people, it's like almost like you're responsible for other people's response. And while you need to abandon your own truth for that. Right? And so many parents, your parents may have done that too, unintentionally. With that kind of conditioning repeat over and over again when you're growing up, imagine now. That's why you don't feel comfortable with your emotions. That's why you have this underlying false belief about emotions. Is like, if I push my emotions down, they will disappear. And if I feel my emotions, I'll get overwhelmed. And negative emotions are bad. Right? These beliefs are not coming from nowhere. They came from your childhood conditioning. And then another common one is you identify with your emotions. Like, I am an angry person. I am I am impatient, right? Things like that. It's because growing up, your parents may have told you, you are such a crybaby. We have heard that, right? You're such a crybaby. You're too sensitive. So with that, we're not taught to separate who we are from what we feel. Then we over-identify with our emotions. But really, emotions is just a passing experience. It's not who we are. Then another one, you grow up, you may have learned this, is that other people make me feel this way. Because we have heard, it's like, don't make your mom upset. You are making me angry. You are making me sad. You are making me disappointed. And with that, we learned what? We learned that We don't own our emotions. We don't have the ownership over it. And we locate our emotions outside of ourselves rather than taking responsibility for how we respond to others. And our emotions, right? Your feelings are not caused by other people. Because if we were caused by other people, guess what? That means every single person is going to respond that situation exact the same way. But that's not the case most of the time. I'll give you an example that a friend of mine, she is in her 30s and she looks young. But somehow whenever people says to her, you look young, she is upset. She feels really upset because she had this experience of she feels like people perceiving her being young because she has a baby face, and she equates young being inexperienced. And whenever people say that she's young, she feels like people say that she is inexperienced. So she doesn't like that at all. So it's very triggering for her. So she will get really upset. But that's her response, right? When people say, Coco, you look young, guess what? I love it. I love people say, I think young is an asset for me. It means that I have taken such a good care of myself. That means I do not look like my age. I'm 46 years old, and I do not look like 46 years old. I love it. She associates young being inexperienced, and I associate young being youthful and being an asset. So we have very different emotional response. And she's upset. She cannot blame someone else for her emotions. She cannot say, you make me upset. No, it's that she has this internal wound she hasn't resolved. That's the point, that your feelings are not caused by other people. You are responsible for how you respond. Right? So anyhow, so that's what the things we learn from home. Society, what we learned in this modern society, we learned that emotions equals weakness, productivity equals worth. We celebrate productivity over functioning and performance versus emotional fluency. We celebrate material worth or wealth, material wealth versus emotional wealth. That's when we learned these false beliefs that emotions are not important. Showing emotions is a sign of a weakness. And lastly, in corporate world, we also learned additional false beliefs about emotions. I remember in corporate world, very much I was told, leave emotions at the door. Being emotional is not professional. And role models, a lot of bad role models when it comes to emotions, and very few good role models. A bad role model is what? Angry, and anger modeled as power. I felt like the only acceptable emotions, especially when it comes to male leaders, is anger. And it's okay to be angry. I worked with 2 CEOs from 2 different startups, and their leadership style is very similar. It's managed by fear. And it's really by having this throwing angry fist at their people. They would yell, raise voice, and even insult people in meetings. And even though No one liked it, but guess what? It was accepted. So in that kind of environment, we learn those behaviors. We absorb it. We observe it. And actually, I became one of those leaders. A lot of times, I would manage my team by anger too and push them, sometimes even unintentionally hurt them. So empathy, a lot of times, being seen as weakness, and vulnerability is seen as a liability. So that's where we learned logic is more important than emotion. And it's unprofessional to talk about emotions at work. So as you can see, you will become who you are today. And your relationship with emotion, it's such a deep-rooted conditioning. It's not your fault where you are now. But now it's your responsibility. I know you're taking the responsibility because you're taking this master class. So you're now learning there is a different way, and there is a better way. Better for you, better for your team, and better for every person around you. What is this better way? The better way is to become a emotionally masterful leader. What does it mean to have emotional mastery? It's to have the ability to understand, feel, regulate, and express your emotions in a way that is healthy, intentional, and aligned with your values, rather than being controlled or ruled by them or avoiding them. I either get overwhelmed by it or avoid it. No, you want to be in the middle, that you can understand, feel, regulate, and express in a healthy, intentional way. And it's not about staying calm all the time. We're human beings. We get triggered. It's normal to get triggered. But the key is that you can have emotions, but without letting emotions have you. You are the CEO of your emotions. You can learn how to regulate it and express it. Because ultimately, emotions are energy in motion. And neuroscientist Antonio Damasio said, we are not thinking animals, we are feeling animals that think. Do you know that that's where feeling, right? Feeling animals that think. Feeling animal is a feeling where it's feeling resides in the body, and thinking is in the head. And what's the relationship with body and head? Our body, that's where also our nervous system lives, remembers every single lived experience that we have. But our head, our conscious mind, only remembers probably 5% of our experience. That's why you would have a hunch over something, but you cannot explain it because you feel it. I'm going to give you another stat will really emphasize this point. 80% of the information from the body, how we feel, from the skin, stomach, and heart, right? All different organs. 80% of the information from body transfer to our head. But only 20% of information from our head goes to our body. Imagine that. Is that our body feels first, then mind, our head, and our mind makes sense of it later. And author Victoria Aveyard beautifully said, our emotions make us human. Denying them makes us beasts. And the meditation teacher Tara Brach says, it is not our emotions that are a problem, it's our resistance to them that causes the struggle. And Brene Brown said, emotions aren't good, bad, or neutral. They are just information. What do you do with that information is what matters. It's not bad to feel angry. Let's say if someone on your team regularly comes late for the meeting, you feel angry. Totally valid, totally normal. There's nothing bad about that. The thing is, what does it tell you? You feel angry, it's because there's a need to be met that is not being met. Your need to be respected. Totally, right? That's what you want to get. It's not about emotion, it's about what's the information behind the emotion. Another one is that envy. Let's say a friend of yours just went to a trip in South Africa. They did safari. That's something you always wanted, and you feel envious of that. There's nothing bad about you feeling envious. It's not about the other person, it's about you. What does it say about you? It's that you want that experience too. Or you didn't get the promotion that you wanted, someone else got it, and you felt really disappointed. You want to feel that disappointment because that disappointment says that you wanted that opportunity. You wanted that opportunity to grow and to be recognized. Right? None of the emotions is bad or negative. But it's a valid human experience. More important, it tells something about you, about the unmet need. That's what you want to focus on. And then from there, you can decide what to do with it. Lastly, is unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. You may have experienced that. If you have ever exploded, which I have, it never was because that instance itself. It usually because there's other emotions, unexpressed emotions accumulated along the way, almost like a pressure cooker. Pressure is building inside, higher, higher, and higher. One day you cannot hold it anymore, then you explode or implode. But either way, it comes forth later in uglier ways. And that's why, it's so important to learn how to process all those emotions in real time. When you learn how to do that, when you become emotionally masterful, and you will become that kind of leader, first, build deep trust. That's the foundation of a great leadership. Trust with your people. You can only build a trust when you are present, steady, and real. First and foremost, build a trust is that people need to feel that you see them, right? Make them feel seen, heard, and understood. That's the most important thing as a leader, is to make people feel seen, heard, and understood. As Maya Angelou famously said, people don't remember what you said, people don't remember what you did, but they remember how you made them feel. In order for you to become that kind of leader, make people feel seen, heard, and understood, it starts with you having the emotional capacity to do that. You cannot hold space for others if your own system is activated. If you are getting triggered, you cannot be present. Because the true listening requires full presence. It's not just hearing what people say, but feeling with that person. And that requires you to have that emotional capacity. The second key to become the leader, build strong trust, deep trust, is that you know how to navigate conflict with grace and steadiness. In order to do that, you need to be curious. You cannot be defensive. If you're defensive, meaning that you're emotionally triggered. And curious is open, it's grounded. You don't avoid tension. You don't bulldoze to control either. And you set clear boundaries, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Also, you have the capacity to repair ruptures with humility and ownership. All of that requires emotional capacity. Last pillar of becoming the leader builds strong, deep trust is that you need to be real. You cannot build deep trust if you are pretending. You need to lead with authenticity. The authenticity is what? It's emotional truth. It's how you truly feel. And you cannot put on a mask and pretend, and people can feel it. So that's the first one, build deep trust. The second is you want to become the leader that inspire and motivate others. Right? Not the type of leader push by force, but truly inspire and motivate them. That is through emotional connection. You cannot inspire people through intellect or pressure. You can only inspire and motivate people through your presence, your empathy, and your realness. Last one is once you become emotionally masterful, you also make hard decisions with clarity. And that's how you earn respect and also deliver great results. Only when you're emotionally steady and you have full access to your prefrontal cortex, that's where the clear thinking comes from. When you have clear thinking, then you can easily distinguish between fear and intuition. Because a lot of times when you're being emotionally activated, you make decision from fear. You're not making decision from intuition and aligned with your values. So just quick summary. Once you become emotionally masterful, then you can become the type of leader who builds deep trust with your people. You can inspire and motivate others through emotional connection and make hard decisions with clarity. Once you have that, you become the type of leader people want to follow. Who doesn't want to work with that kind of leader? And it's so rare, right? Based on your own experience, isn't that rare in the corporate world? If you're able to do that, that's your competitive advantage. You may have tried a few things already, and you may have tried, people like, oh, I already, feeling my emotions. No, a lot of people confuse overthinking your emotions versus feeling your emotions. I used to just overthink. When you overthink your emotions, the emotion stays in your head. Feeling your emotions is in your body. What's the difference? The difference is, if I'm thinking my emotions, overthinking my emotions, ask this question: why am I like this? Right? When I remember I was upset with something, disappointed with certain team members, I was like, why was I so upset? Why was I so frustrated? That's thinking instead of actually feeling it. I'll teach you how to do that. That's the difference. You cannot think your way out of emotions. And thinking is very much about ruminate on a conversation over and over without resolution or clarity. When you do that, you know you're overthinking your emotions. And also, if you have this self-judgment thoughts in your head, that's also you're overthinking your emotions. This shouldn't bother me. You're invalidating yourself. I thought I'd be over this by now. That's another one. What's wrong with me for feeling this way? I hear this all the time. That's your self-judgment talking. And that is not processing and feeling your emotions. That's you judging your emotions. You're overthinking your emotions. That's all in your head. You need to drop down to your body. Okay. That's when it's you're overthinking it. The other side is you're avoiding it. Avoiding it by numbing out. There are some common ways: scrolling, shopping, and there's one, it's so, I would say, hidden. You don't even realize that's actually numbing. It's being busy. If you're constantly being busy, just one thing after another, go, 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 do, constantly, you're thinking you're being productive. A lot of times you're avoiding feeling your emotions. I used to do that big time. I didn't even know that was what I was doing, avoiding my emotion, because I used to be someone who couldn't even sit still for 5 minutes. When I slowed down, I realized so much emotions came up. I felt really uncomfortable. So that's why I didn't like to slow down. Just my calendars were just packed with meetings, activities, one thing after another. That is a sign. If you're someone who feels uncomfortable slowing down and being quiet and being alone with yourself, even just for a few minutes, that means you are avoiding your emotions. Another one is pushing through emotional moments. When you're upset, when you're sad, upset, frustrated, instead of processing it, you're just like, keep going. I have no time for this. I need to get shit done. But guess what? Then soon, later, gonna explode or implode. Explode is basically took it on someone else. Implode is very much burnout, shut down, or even depression. So those didn't work. Now I'm going to teach you something that actually works, a process that works. It's a 5 steps process. It's called CLEAR method. CLEAR. And this one, it's I would say simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, because it's not something you are familiar with. And it's something you just need to be intentional about. And it's a skill that you can learn. It's a muscle that you can build. And it can be truly life-changing. And the key is that you just need to practice. Pay attention. Be intentional about pause. When you're being emotionally triggered, the key is that you pause, then do these 5 steps. The other one is curiosity. Very, very important to learn about how to be curious and no self-judgment. Well, this is, you can, I will refer some other resources for you so that you can work on this. And you can check out my podcast, Grounded Confidence. I have episodes on being self-compassionate, how to be self-compassionate versus beating yourself up. So that's a critical resource for you to refer to. And so what is this 5-step process? Clear. C is calm your body. When you're being emotionally triggered, in that very moment, you need to calm your body down first because otherwise you don't have access to your prefrontal cortex. When you're activated, that means you are sending into fight and flight survival mode. When you're in that survival mode, your brain is offline. You're just thinking about how I'm going to evade danger. In that case, you're not able to do any of those emotional processing I'm about to teach you. So the first step is regulate your nervous system through breath, sound, or movement. If you check out the last episode that I have on my podcast, I talked about that in depth of how to regulate your nervous system. And also that's something I teach in my one-on-one coaching program. I teach you step by step how to do it. So here, just very quick overview. It's your nervous system. It's the system literally running your whole human experience. And when you are being activated, you feel like you're running away from a tiger. In that case, when you're running away from a tiger, do you think you have bandwidth to think clearly, to actually process the emotion and information inside of you? Hell no. Right? You're just like, I'm going to survive in this situation. So that's why it's important to take a few deep breaths, deep belly breath. Have your exhale slightly longer than your inhale. Make sounds, just humming or sigh, long sigh. And movement can just be, shake your body, sway side to side, take a short walk, or even dance for a few minutes. Any of that release this build up energy in your body. It's very quick. You don't need to do that. You're like, how do I have time to do that? It's a busy day. I have back-to-back Zoom meetings. This doesn't take much. Take 3 to 5 deep breaths, literally only 20 seconds, 30 seconds. But this 20, 30 seconds can really shift your energy and shift how you are going to move forward. So really try it, okay? And so first is do that, calm your body. The second, once you calm your body, then you have the capacity to listen inward. Listen inward. You want to bring your awareness to your body. Your emotions always starts with the bodily sensations. Ask yourself, what I am feeling right now. Tuning into your body without judgment. That's where you will notice. You will notice your heart rate probably goes up, and tension in your body, the heat, because heat in your body, the clenching in your stomach. Because every time when I get frustrated, I remember I used to get frustrated all the time on Zoom, over Zoom calls, cross-functional team Zoom calls, and my ears and neck, the heat will heat up immediately. I know, holy moly, I'm getting frustrated. Before I even realize I'm frustrated, my body is telling me I'm frustrated. So notice that your body sends you the information. Listen inward. That's the second step, L. The third step is E. It's explore. Explore the emotions. It's literally about name the feeling and get curious about what's going on. Name the emotion. There's a lot of nuances to emotions. It's not just I'm feeling good or bad or feeling shitty or I'm feeling happy. No, there's how many? 4 core emotions: sad, fear, anger. What's the other one? I have to refer to it. Disgust and surprise and fear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anger, sad, happy, surprise, disgust, right? And then there's even more nuanced. For instance, disappointed. I'm feeling disappointed versus I'm feeling ignored. They're completely different feelings and they give you very different information. There's a tool. If you DM me emotion, and I'll send you this amazing tool called Emotion Wheel. And there you'll be able to use this tool to identify, help you to improve your emotional literacy. Before this work, I have very limited vocabulary when it comes to emotions. But now, with this rich vocabularies that I have, I'm able to pinpoint exactly what I'm feeling. With that, it gives me more information because I said underneath each emotion, there's this unmet need. Once you have a more nuanced way of looking at emotion, more nuanced language for that, then you are able to pinpoint that unmet need much sooner. Right, for instance, I feel anxious because I care about doing well. Or I feel anxious because I want to feel I'm important. Right? Emotions are data. Okay. A is allow. Allow it to move. This is a critical step. That's what I mentioned earlier. You want to move from your head thinking to feeling. And how do you feel? It's actually emotions. It's energy emotion. Motion means it's move. Let the emotion rise and fall. Almost riding a wave. Emotions are just waves coming. And you get to ride the wave, but it's temporary. The emotions usually only last for 90 seconds. If you do this process, allow yourself to move through it. So what does it mean to move through it? For instance, I give you a personal example. Recently, my dog passed away from cancer. For a few weeks leading up to her death, and then now obviously after she died, all this week's processing, anticipatory grief and the actual grief. And whenever I feel like the sadness comes, and when I see a picture of her, when I talk about her, I just feel this intense sadness. When I feel that sadness, I have the urge to cry. Even when I talk about this, I have that urge to cry. When I have the urge to cry, I don't hold it in. I cry. When I cry, usually definitely within 90 seconds, it's just gone. When I really release it, when you allow yourself to feel it fully, and then you can release it. Because when you suppress it, it stores inside and it controls you. Let's say another example. If you're really angry about something, let's say someone always interrupts you at meetings, and you're just very angry. You feel that anger. Your body probably has the urge to do something. Usually what? You want to punch. Obviously, you cannot punch that person, because what? You can punch a pillow. You can punch a bag. If you feel that urge, that's energy in motion. This energy wants to move out of your body. So you punch, you do something. Or there's sometimes you want to run, you want to walk, or you want to jump. Do that. Or sometimes it's just good to write it down, journal, or voice memo. It's some form, whatever forms of expression allows the emotion to move through your body. That's what you want to do. So you cannot think your way out of emotions. You need to feel your way through them. There's no other way but through. Then your mind catches up. This is a critical step. Allow it to move. And this takes practice. It may feel really uncomfortable right now to do that. But with practice, it just becomes part of you. Once you move through, then guess what? Then you feel a sense of aliveness. Then you feel this clear mind. Once you have that clear mind, then you can respond with the intention. The last one is respond with the intention. You can respond from a place aligned with your values, not your trigger. I give you a quick example to illustrate how this works. Let's say a team, you lead a team, a project team, and one of the key members just keeps, a key member misses a deadline again, and you feel a surge of irritation and disappointment. So in the past, you may have done what? Just snapped in Slack. I cannot believe this happens again. You should have told me. You should have told me in advance. And give me, cannot believe this happens again. Or you shut down emotionally, but you carry the silent resentment, and you may have avoided addressing it directly. But guess what? The emotions was stewed inside of you for days, right? This happened to me too. But now with this approach, clear method, what do you do? First, calm your body. When that happens, calm your body. You take a pause, take a few deep belly breaths, then put your hand on your chest and exhale slowly. Exhale 2 seconds longer than your inhale. And or step outside for a few minutes. Allow your nervous system to reset so that your executive brain can come online. That's the first step. Calm your body. The second is listen inside. It's like, okay, what I'm actually feeling right now. Then you may notice the tension in your shoulders, right? It's like tight. Your jaw is tight. Your thoughts are racing. Notice. Then gently, the next one is explore. Explore the emotion. It's like, okay, name it. Like, what actually is this emotion I'm feeling? Oh, I'm feeling irritated and disappointed. And then go a layer deeper. I'm feeling this because what? Your value, usually our unmet need, is that I care about the team's success. And I feel unsupported. I'm always have the one pulling the weight, and they just cannot, step up more. Then this gives your emotion the context. It's not anger, it's more of a signal of your values and needs. Allow it to move. That's the most critical step, is you need to move. You may need to stretch. You may need to journal for a few minutes. You may need to shake out the tension. And you may need to punch a pillow, whatever works for you. Let the emotional wave pass through instead of getting stuck in your body. Then the last step is respond with intention. So now with this grounded version of you, you're clear, you choose how to lead. You send a message, you set up a one-on-one, and you say, right, I noticed the deadline was missed again. I want you to understand what is going on and find a way to support you. This project matters, and I really want us to succeed, and I want to help you succeed. See? No drama, no avoidance, just honest, intentional leadership, then I call it is emotionally masterful leadership. The result, well, you feel calm, clear, and in integrity. Your team member also feels respected, not shamed. Then the issue also gets addressed, and the trust between you deepens, and you are more respected as a leader. That's the difference. It's shifting from emotional reactivity to emotionally masterful leadership. Why this works? This work is because it works with your biology, not against it. Right? Emotions is energy. Emotion is your biology. We get to the root of it. It's not just address the symptom, surface symptom. And also, this is not about adding more to your plate, not doing more. No, it's really just about relating differently to your inner world. Once you do that, right? Once you do this clear method on a regular basis, you feel calmer. You'll feel more grounded. You truly can understand and name what you are feeling. You release emotional tension. You feel much lighter. You also choose how to respond instead of reacting impulsively. You feel more in control of your emotions, and you also stay connected to yourself in hard moments. The skills to develop emotional awareness, emotional regulation, emotional expression, empathetic communication, conflict navigation, self-leadership. Everything is about self-leadership. Manage your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. Results, once you become emotionally masterful leader, you become the kind of leader and kind of a human people trust, follow, and connect with deeply. You build stronger trust, deeper connections, you earn more respect, and you have stronger influence. You make better decisions. You have less regret. You're also more resilient in hard moments. You become the type of leader people trust and want to follow. It's not the type of leader people have to follow. And you ultimately going to become the type of leader who's inspiring and impactful. With that, you're going to feel so much more fulfilled. And you not only lead better, you live better. I'm speaking from my own lived experience, and it's truly, truly life-changing. And I want you to be able to experience that, and you can. If I can, you can too. Okay, so this is the masterclass. This is the masterclass portion, and I just want you to, well, first of all, thank you for joining this class, and please DM me your one key takeaway. One key takeaway. Just start with one thing. Okay, I start practicing just with one thing. And I really wanted to invite you to take the next step with me. If you want to become this emotionally masterful leader, the type of leader people want to follow, who's inspiring, and I invite you to join my one-on-one coaching program. In this coaching program container, and I'll support you. I guide you and support you step by step, because this masterclass is a wonderful starting point. But we know it takes a lot of effort, time, and support and consistency to reprogram the behavior patterns that you learned in the decades of your life. And now this VIP one-on-one coaching program, I help you, I support you, and I guide you step by step to learn all the critical skills. And I have a proprietary 5-step inner CEO method to help you get there. And you may be wondering, I'm not sure coaching is right for me. Coaching is an investment. Absolutely. That's why I make the next step Super easy. Just set up. I offer a free 1 hour free consultation call. On this consultation call, it's not a sales call, it's a clarity call. You are going to get clear on where you are now, where you want to be, what's the gap in between, and I help you to identify that. Then I'll give you a personalized support plan. Whether we decide to work together or not, you are going to walk away with powerful insights. And those powerful insights can really help you to step forward. And I invite you to schedule that call with me today. And I'll send the link in the comments. Also, I'll DM you the link. And I invite you to take this next step with me. Thank you for joining again. I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon. Okay, take care. Bye.